everyone. So today I'm opening up the Sphere Sketchbook once again, and I decided that I was going to do animals again. And I drew a crab at the beginning of my sketchbook because it fit the underwater theme of the mermaid. But this time I wanted to do something I was kind of more scared of drawing, and I didn't know how it would turn out. So one of the things that I don't really like drawing is realistic animals. But besides from that, animals with like a lot of detail. And I'm really bad at drawing hair. So I wanted to draw some more realistic animals that have quite a lot of hair. So the first one I drew was this lion, and it actually turned out a lot better than I had expected. I'm still really not happy with it, but it was kind of really scary to start, and the fact that I got from the start to the finish just really boosted my confidence in the sketchbook. And so I really, really liked that portion of this drawing. It was a little hard because I was taught to, when you draw hair, you should start from where the hair is, the follicle, and go down to the end, because it'll be naturally, the pencil will make it thicker on the end that you start on. And since hair thinner, what am I even trying to say? It thins as it goes down. You can get that kind of natural effect just by drawing the certain way with the pencil. And now the lion's mane, the part just around its face was really light, and the rest of it, the hair was quite dark. And so I had to go over the portion under the mane several times to get it just to have a contrast between the mane and the second portion of hair under it. And it was quite hard to decide if I liked it or not. But in the end, I think I really do like the way that it turned out. So I'm feeling pretty confident about the way that this one did turn out. It was a little hard to decide if I wanted to do the face or not, because technically there's fur all over the body, but since there was such a drastic contrast, I decided just to leave it like that. The next thing I drew was a rabbit, and I know rabbits aren't hairy, they're furry, I guess. I don't really know the difference, but it was still quite a journey for me. First, I got the anatomy of the rabbit quite off, and so I gave it a really big butt at first, and so I had to go back in and constantly look at references and try to proportion it correctly, and that took a little while to do. And so I wanted to do the fur or hair or fuzz of the rabbit, and I didn't really know how to draw it, because when you just draw hair, you can go, one direction from the follicle to the end, but with fur, it looks quite different. And so I decided that instead of just doing long hair or a lot of little hair, I decided that I would do a whole bunch of lines, but I had it like a hatchwork. Does that make sense? So it had longer hair on its stomach, so I could just draw that normally, but all the rest of its hair was just fuzz. So I decided to do little lines of hair in a hatchwork pattern, and it was kind of difficult to decide that I wanted to do that because I didn't know how it would look or how it would turn out. And since I don't ever draw this stuff, it's in my favorite sketchbook for a reason, it was quite scary to start doing that, but I decided that this was a sketchbook I was going to experiment a lot in and do some things I was uncomfortable with. So I decided just go with it, and so I created a whole bunch of little lines in kind of a hatchwork pattern. They don't really overlap a whole bunch, but I did decide to some diagonal and some horizontal and some vertical. Sorry, my cat is always in these. And so that, I think it really helped bring a feeling of this hair is really short and it just puffs out in a whole bunch of different directions, and it's not so uniform as the lion's mane, and it's quite coarse, maybe not coarse, but because the rabbit hair isn't coarse, but it looks quite like, it just looks very random and like very short and has like a lot of hair, and I just think that the effect that doing that kind of pattern on it really gave to it. It took quite a long time to do because you had to do all these individual lines in all these different directions, and my hand was getting a little tired, but I did really, really like the way that this one turned out. Of this page, I think that this rabbit is actually my favorite, which is surprising because I thought I'd really like the line after I finished it, but I just really like the way that this hatchwork worked on this rabbit especially well. The next thing that I ended up drawing was a gorilla, and I really wanted the gorilla because I thought it would be easier because I draw people quite a lot, not animals, but it was not, and the gorilla has a lot of hair, but it also has parts where there's like no hair, and so it was kind of hard to show a difference between like, oh, this area is dark, but it doesn't have hair on it. And you'll see that when I start it in a second. So, I don't have a whole bunch of the page left when I was drawing the gorilla, so I had to do kind of an awkward pose. I'd wanted to do the original, like, standing on all four legs, like, pose, but I just didn't have that much room left, so, pardon me. I didn't have that much room left, so I saw this one pose of this gorilla with its arms out, kind of just hanging between these two rocks, and so I decided that that was what I was going to draw. Now, I'm not good at drawing musculature or anything like that at all. Anatomy is another thing I'm going to be working on in this sketchbook, so I was quite worried to start trying to do this. No, the way this gorilla was positioned, it had its like these weird like chest plate that was like out of its stomach because it's like hunched, it's like laying backwards, so it would pop out more, and it was really hard to draw for me. And at first the gorilla kind of looked just like a guy chilling out. And so I needed to, like, add more animalistic features to it. So I had to do a whole bunch of different references to, like, try to fully understand different parts of its anatomy and to just change it around and decide what I wanted to do with it. And it was quite hard. But I did get through with it, and I'm not super happy with the way it turned out, but it was something that I wouldn't normally draw, and I got it and I finished it, and that was a really big thing for me, is just think of an idea that you're scared of doing and just do it regardless. And so I think after I changed the nose and the mouth and the eyes, it really started to look more like how I wanted it to, which is really good. The way the hair comes down like flat on the chest, but the arms, it fans out with the arm. And so the transition between the down hair and the out hair is like really bad. And it was really hard to do, and so I had to I think it was quite sloppy, and I think I could have done it a lot better if I just thought about the transition before I just drew the hair. So I was like, oh, this hair goes down, and then this hair goes out, and I was like, didn't think of the transition between the two, and so it looked not as good as I would have liked it to. And actually, when I was finishing up the drawing, I had noticed that my camera had stopped recording, so I don't have the full recording of this drawing, which is sad because in the last few minutes of me finishing it, I actually started to really like the way it turned out because I added a lot more detail to the face, and the shading was working, and I just changed a whole bunch of stuff about it, so I'm sorry for the big gap. But here are the finished works. I have the gorilla and the rabbit and the lion, and I think I like the rabbit the most. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this can encourage some people to just do some stuff that you're uncomfortable with and just try your best to do it anyway. Thank you very much. That was Hairy Animals for my Fear Sketchbook.